Wife, 44 female, cheated, I, 45 male. Filed for divorce when I found out, and she tried to kill herself on New Year's Eve. Right, where to begin? The STBXW and I have been together for nearly 25 years, 22 of which we were married. There had been no infidelities or major difficulties prior to this. We have 4 children, a set of 20-year-old twins, boy and girl, a 19-year-old son, and a 15-year-old daughter. I filed for divorce in mid-December and ordered her to leave our house and return to her parents. I received a number of phone messages, emails, and even handwritten letters from her apologizing for what she'd done, but I never responded in any way. She tried suicide when it finally dawned on her that I was really going through this and that there was nothing she could do to stop it. She would have perished if her parents had not remained at home to keep an eye on her. According to what I've heard, she attempted an overdose on pills, but no one knows where she obtained them in the first place. Her adultery seemed to have just lately been totally physical, late November or early December, although she had been emotionally unfaithful for at least a few months before. I'm not interested in finding out how long since it won't benefit me in any way. Because she had an affair with a married guy, I informed his wife, and he is also getting divorced. Add to that the fact that they're co-workers, which is how they met in the first place, and I'm guessing they started the affair during work hours. For those who will inquire, how did you find out? I didn't, is the response. Our twin son and daughter did. They observed their mother kissing with the other guy in public. The location in issue isn't one that any of us would normally walk through, and proceeded to notify me. I began exploring and discovered more than enough proof of a long-term affair. I don't have many deal breakers and feel that marriage is an ongoing work in progress. You have to do your share to keep it going, but cheating is something I would never ignore or tolerate. Cheating is a slap in the face of all the time you spent together, a slap in the face to your shared life. It boils down to greed and brutality. I'm simply telling you so you can have a better understanding of what I'm saying. Maybe, but that's a far-fetched maybe. I could have attempted to get beyond it if it had been a one-time occurrence, and she had immediately come to me, repentant and regretful. She wasn't, though. I mean, she just began wailing and bawling after she was apprehended, and that is completely meaningless to me. It's easy to weep when your trash is exposed, but what about before all of this? I've never observed anything apologetic or guilty about her. I just cannot live with such a person. When I informed the kids I was planning to divorce their mother, they were all supportive and understanding. Our youngest sobbed more than I did, but she assured me that I was doing in the best interests of all of us. She got asked if she could live with me, the other 3 having their own homes of their own will, and I assured her she didn't have to. I believe that having the kids there has been the nicest thing in this scenario overall, demonstrating to me that all of those years spent with my wife were not in vain. Whatever she's like today, I can at least be thankful for our children. I adore them more than anything else. Unfortunately, almost everyone we know, with the exception of individuals who were my friends before they were family members, is attempting to get me to call off the divorce and speak to her, go to therapy, or some other foolishness, especially after the suicide attempt. Needless to say, all of those folks are on my and I've stopped communicating with them in any way. Unfortunately, this includes my in-laws whom I adored before anything occurred since I'm an orphan myself, and considered them as the family I never had. They attempted to contact me via their grandchildren, which has soured their plans to see their grandparents in the near future. The kids tell me they adore them, but they can't be around them right now because they're so domineering. They've also opted to remove themselves from their mother, but they're definitely still in contact. I'm in treatment myself, going through some counseling because I don't feel anything for what's occurred. When I think back on how I found out about all of this, I notice a lack of wrath and pain. My therapist believes I numbed myself on purpose to assist me get through this. I'm not sure. Prior to all of this, if you asked me how I felt about my marriage and wife, I'd probably tell you I was as happy as I could be, with a huge grin on my face. Now, nothing. You might have informed me the weather prediction for the day when I learned about the suicide attempt. I didn't have any feelings. Personally, I don't think so. In a sense, I was outraged for what this might have done to our children, but her attempting suicide doesn't elicit a feeling from me. I'm not thrilled that she's recognized how badly she's damaged our lives, but I also don't feel any pity for her. I'm afraid not. It's only that when I look at the circumstance, I think yes, as well as, what does it have to do with me? That's not how I am. Or, at the very least, I don't believe I was like that before to all of this. And my therapist tells me that the numbness will pass, that it is a normal part of the healing process. Yet here we are, more than a month later, and I still have no feelings about what occurred. I'm not sure whether that's a good or negative thing. I guess I'll simply have to wait and see. In terms of the rest of my life, the people who have remained loyal to me are not allowing me to spend much time alone. They realize that I need time to myself now and again, but they don't want me to be alone for too long. Everything feels so different today, you know. Now, my greatest worry is for our children. For the time being, they are maintaining their distance from her of their own will. I didn't poison them against their mother or anything. They just don't want to speak to her. Our youngest has been the most affected by her mother's adultery, and I've been considering having her visit a therapist as well, if we can't settle this on our own. That our children responded so harshly to their mother's adultery is what truly disturbs me about the entire situation. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't relieved that they did respond adversely to it, since it shows that they realize that adultery is no laughing matter and that it can ruin marriages and families as it has for us. But I'm concerned about the long term. Will they be able to move on from this? Will they ever have a physical bond with their mother? Will they recover? If any of you have been in a scenario similar to ours, please share your thoughts. Story 2. My 24 female relationship with my fiancé 33 Mal has gotten to the point where I am considering ending things. I'm completely stumped here. I live with my roommate and do not have any children. My 2-year fiancé has twins that are 10 years old. He was a gentleman, taking care of me and my family. He has a strong work ethic, and he always expresses his love for me. Things were well until last year, when things suddenly deteriorated. I was diagnosed with a highly advanced melanoma a year ago, and the day I found out I was cancer-free, my fiancé had started hounding me about having a kid, something we had previously agreed to postpone. I declined because I'd had enough of the hospital, and he wouldn't give up, so I cried the whole journey home. He attempted to pressurize me on many additional times, and each time after it was finished, he said it was okay to wait. So I'm puzzled. He also encourages me to have, even after I've told him no multiple times, and I generally give in, which has made me detest ever having it. Let's fast forward to this summer. I babysat his children for him. They smashed my belongings, stole my and my roommate's belongings, had my whole basement smell like BO and filthy socks, and even tortured my cat. He never apologized for his actions. I kept telling him I didn't want to watch them because they were making me anxious, but he said he'd have to leave his job and end up homeless. When his daughter grabbed and twisted my ankle, I drew the line. We had just returned from 2 Christmas celebrations, and he let down my neck when I informed a family member who inquired that none of us had plans to move in together. I never say anything to this family member, since she is poisonous, but he shouted at me in the vehicle on the way home for doing so. My whole family complained today because his kids smelt like dirty socks. They have an extremely severe cleanliness issue, which he never bothered to fix until I protested last summer. We also made arrangements to stay at a hotel this weekend. I now have a medical condition and am unable to have intercourse, which he said he intended to do, but when he found I couldn't, he attempted to cancel the hotel vacation entirely. He changed his mind today, but given how he's been behaving, I told him to forget it, and he threw a tantrum. Right now, I'm absolutely befuddled and in dire need of assistance. Is what he does a sufficient cause to call it quits? Is he as manipulative and pushy as I believed he is, or am I overreacting?